Hello everyone. In this video I want to talk about a topic which is quite known and you have probably heard a lot about it so far. The question is who is the best bodybuilder of all times? Now in this time I'm going to argue that actually Arnold Schwarzenegger, according to me, was the best bodybuilder of all times. And I will bring the arguments and the reasons for my view. However, I have to admit that Arnold was clearly most important figure that influenced my bodybuilding career. And if it wasn't for Arnold, I probably never considered bodybuilding as a serious option, not to mention me competing in bodybuilding and ending with 46 competitions in the span of over 10 years and 17 victories. So I have to give a lot of credit to Arnold Schwarzenegger for motivating me, for inspiring me, and for literally be my idol. Now, you may say I'm biased, and in this video I will try not to be. I will set this aside, Arnold being my idol, in my early career and during my bodybuilding career, and I will try to look at the facts that will apply to all other competitors in this comparison. Clearly, aesthetic experience is a subjective experience, so we can't take that away from that aesthetic importance of aesthetic appearance of a bodybuilder. So you will also have the right to prefer different body types or different champions for these purely aesthetic reasons. But again, I will try to give you reasons, facts, why I believe Arnold Schwarzenegger is the best bodybuilder of all times. Now, as I like to often say that every era, every epoch tries to create its own heroes across the board. Either we talk about art or philosophy, we talk about football, we talk about boxing, and that applies also to bodybuilding. So every year you're going to have a Mr. Olympia champion, and every year there's going to be somebody else, or maybe again somebody who is repeating his success year after year. But if you look at historically on Mr. Olympia, considering that has been the best bodybuilding championship in the world, because the best bodybuilders in the world actually compete on Mr. Olympia, we can see the evolution of bodybuilders or bodybuilding champions since the very beginning of first Mr. Olympia, when Larry Scott won in 1965. And that after Larry Scott, we have Sergio Oliva. Then after Sergio Oliva, we have Arnold Schwarzenegger. Then after Arnold, we have Frank Zane. Then the big ones were Lee Haney, then Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler. And we can see that the bodies have definitely changed over time. So it's not the same body type, the same aesthetic requirements, and the same type of proportions that appear over time. But the fact is that nowadays bodybuilders focus mainly on size. But we all know that although size is important, on the end of the day, bodybuilders are big guys who develop their muscles, but size is not the only factor, is one factor, but there are other factors as well. For me, even more important factors, like for example, proportions. Then you have conditioning, then you have display or posing of the particular athlete on the stage. So all these factors contribute, right? And I would consider a few most important factors while deciding this issue, who is the best bodybuilder of all time. Number one is proportionate development of all muscle groups. Number two is conditioning, so definition. Number three is presentation, how you present your package on the stage. And number 4 is the impact on the time and the competition that champion had on his contemporaries. At the end, I will also mention other factors that will decide who is the best. Those factors are training philosophy, diet, overall impact and influence on the popularity of bodybuilding, and finally legacy. So, considering everything I mentioned, again, I will argue that Arnold Schwarzenegger is the best bodybuilder of all times. And these are the reasons for that. So, first factor, as I mentioned, is proportionate development. I believe that Arnold had superior proportions comparing to all other Mr. Olympias before and after him. Okay, there are a couple of reasons for that. The number one reason is, and I believe we will all agree about it, is that the double biceps pose is the trademark of bodybuilding. So there wouldn't be bodybuilding without double biceps. So why is double biceps so important? Double biceps is pose in which every muscle group is fully transparent and is shown. So there is no room for hiding anything. The only muscle group that is not necessarily fully shown are chest. But in the double bicep pose, you can see everything, starting from calves, quads, waistline, back, arms, everything. And all these muscles together, when you look at them, they need to be in proportion. So this is the number one pose in bodybuilding, according to me, and I believe you will agree about it. And also, during the double biceps pose, what you cannot hide are your skeletal proportions. So let's say, unfortunately, bodybuilding is not egalitarian sport. It's not for everyone. It's very elite sport. And if your legs are, for example, short and your torso is too long, you can't hide it. In double biceps, you cannot hide it. Everything is going to be on display. So apart from for development of all the muscles and proportion of all of them together, skeletal proportions are also exposed completely, and nothing can be hidden. So you either have it or you don't have it. And that is very important, especially on the elite level. Now, as I mentioned, the only muscle that you cannot really see fully, you can, but not fully, are chest. And this is why I think that the second most important pose in bodybuilding is side chest. So during the side chest pose, one can show his chest, the size and the depth of the chest. And there is no hiding there. Unfortunately, because most of the bodybuilders today don't have big chest, the side chest pose, as Arnold used to perform, is not side chest anymore. Nobody is doing that. Everybody is turning, twisting, and almost showing both shoulders rather than just side chest, because they are hiding their chest. There is obviously a reason for that. They don't have big chest. But about that, I'll talk a bit later. So, although Arnold didn't have small waist, as you can see on these photos, Arnold managed, through his extreme motivation, dedication, and discipline, and work ethics like nobody had, to build a body which will still be symmetrical and create that V shape. So, for example, doing that double biceps, you know how big are his arms, and obviously his back, and also his legs. Some people say his legs were not very big, but I would not agree about that. Simply, in the era in which Arnold competed, his legs were enormous, and he didn't need to have bigger legs. Another thing is that in those days, even among professional bodybuilders, they didn't want to have bigger legs than, let's say, Arnold had. And when I spoke to Serge Nubre in 1983 in Paris, and I asked him about his leg development because I thought maybe, he could have had bigger legs, he said to me, no, this is what Americans are doing. This is disgusting. They are ruining proportions. This is why he said, I don't like to use heavy weights doing legs. So Nubre would perform free squats only with his body weight, but this huge number of reps, just in order not to overdevelop legs, because in that case he believed the proportions will be destroyed. And people in 70s and 80s, although they had great legs, you can see this on the pictures, they're not skinny at all. They just didn't go that step further in order to build enormous legs, like, for example, Tom Platz did. But Tom Platz, although he had biggest legs in the world, he never won Mr. Olympia. So also in this double biceps shot, Arnold's biceps and triceps are fully separated. Arms are clearly extremely impressive, and I believe that nobody really came close to Arnold in the most important pose in bodybuilding, which is double biceps. When it comes to side chest, I think, again, nobody came close to Schwarzenegger in this pose. And I will mention later what Ronnie Coleman said about that. Again, one of the great bodybuilders. Now, number 2 factor, why is Arnold the best bodybuilder in the world of all time? Conditioning. So, what Arnold has achieved in 70s, it's simply outstanding compared to his competitors. No other competitor had that kind of shape. I mean, serious competitors. For example, the bodybuilder who came closest to Arnold according to his genetic and sheer size and also extreme proportions was Sergio Oliva. But Oliva never had that conditioning and separation as Arnold had. So there were other bodybuilders who were extremely well defined, but they were not necessarily very proportionate. Like, for example, Frank Zane and also Serge Nubre. They had amazing physiques. They were absolutely phenomenal bodybuilders, but they didn't stand a chance standing next to Arnold in, for example, doing double biceps or side chest. I mean, you just need to look at the photos and the videos and you will come to the same conclusion. It's not very complicated. Now, when it comes to the third factor, presentation on the stage, again, nobody was so particular and so accurate, surgical in a way, in presenting his physique. For example, when Arnold stepped on the stage, there were no fancy poses there. Arnold, for example, never kneeled down, never performed anything while kneeling down. Everything was standing up in an extreme way of dominance. He was presenting with extreme confidence his best shots. So you would have double biceps, you will have front lat spread, then you have that famous twist double biceps, and then you will have again twist back double biceps, twisted one. Nobody does that today. Simply people cannot do it because they don't have that type of physique and they don't have proportions, and also they have huge midsection, so they would look simply ridiculous in doing that twist double biceps or twist back double biceps. So only Arnold could have done that. So every pose was a statement, right? Literally saying to the judges and to the crowd, this is for you. Look at me. Look at double biceps. Look at side chest. Look at back lat spread, back double biceps. Everything that he did was exactly as it should have been done. Nothing more, nothing less. Posing didn't last long. It was just enough to show the dominance. Now, the impact that Arnold had on his competitors and his contemporaries was simply unprecedented. We have never witnessed any other Mr. Olympia to stand so much apart from his competitors as Arnold did. He was not just about his competition, he was a huge motivational force, and he influenced so many others. People wanted to train like Arnold. Everybody wanted to train like Arnold. Everybody copied his training routine. Everybody was eating like Arnold. Everybody wanted to be Arnold. These people even said that. I mean, this was nothing secret about it. Tom Platz said it so many times. Arnold was like a dream. Ronnie Coleman said the same thing. Many other people said the same thing. I spoke to Mr. Universe, Roy Duval, for example, in Trowbridge in 2000. And Roy said to me that he was simply fascinated. Roy was one of the best Arnold's friends. And he said he was fascinated by Arnold. Everything that Arnold did, everything, training, eating, his behavior, social life, everything was so impressive that literally everybody wanted to be Arnold. But unfortunately, only Arnold could have been Arnold and nobody else could have done it. His training system was extremely taxing, extremely exhausting, and not everybody could have done that. It's not just about steroids. Other people took steroids as well, but they couldn't do it because for that you simply need to be Arnold. So you need to be unique, right? You need to be different. And this was exactly what Arnold was. So in his day, you have Arnold and then you have the rest of the pack. And he influenced great bodybuilders of his era. Bodybuilders like Tom Platz and Franco Colombo and Lou Ferrigno and Boerko and Roy Callender and Albert Beckles and people who competed against him, Roger Walker. And there are lots of other bodybuilders, and they were all hugely influenced by Arnold Schwarzenegger, his training ethics, training systems, his diet. That has never happened again. So this is about the four main factors why I believe that Arnold is the best bodybuilder of all times. Now, I think it wouldn't be fair to mention other Mr. Olympia, who are also great bodybuilders, great champions, and who have been regarded by others as the best of all time. So let's go through a few, and I will tell you what I think about it. So many people think that Sergio Oliva was actually the greatest bodybuilder of all time. Simply because Sergio Oliva was massive, he was very well proportionate, he had every single muscle group, nothing was missing, he has extremely small waist, and his calves were great, his quads were huge, back, shoulders, arms, chest, everything was there. But Sergio Oliva never achieved that conditioning, that definition in order to stand next to Arnold. Sergio had huge arms, but his arms were never split, biceps and triceps. They're almost like one muscle. They're very flat. You don't see the separation there. And he didn't like to diet, and that wasn't a secret. So Serge Nubret told me once that Oliva came to him, was it 82 or 83? I can't remember exactly, but he was competing on a Mr. Universe, NABA professional Mr. Universe. And he asked Nubret for help. So Nubret advised him to go on a high protein, medium fat, zero carb diet for some 6 to 8 weeks. Oliva followed. Apparently, he ended up in an amazing shape, better than ever. He won that show, but then after the show, he said, I would never, ever again in my life diet like this because I thought I'm just going to die. So forget about this diet. So Oliva used to eat a lot of carbs as well before the show. And that may have been the reason why, despite his great physical genetic potential, he maybe didn't have the other side of genetic potential, which is also mental. So genetics, when we talk about genetics, is not just how good are your skeletal proportions, your muscle bellies and your type 2 muscle fibers, but also there is something else into that, into that umbrella of genetics. There is something called mental genetics, mental side. So it's about discipline and commitment and consistency. This can only be also be genetical. So although having amazing physical genetic predisposition, Oliva couldn't match Arnold Schwarzenegger simply because of the lack of discipline when it comes to diet, and for that reason never achieved amazing definition. There are other people who believe that Lee Haney was the best bodybuilder of all time. Well, Lee Haney was an amazing bodybuilder. There's no question about that. Lee had a quite proportionate physique, small waist. His conditioning was always great. He was very, very thick. Separation was great between all the muscles. The only problem that Lee Haney had comparing to Arnold was the double biceps shot and also side chest. In double biceps, Lee Haney couldn't match Arnold Schwarzenegger because his arms were simply not big enough. That was just that shot of double biceps wasn't as big statement as it was when Arnold hit double biceps. So this was the main reason why I think he can't compete with Arnold when it comes to the greatest of all time. Now, there are some people who think that Dorian Yates was the best bodybuilder of all time. Now, Dorian was a breaking point in bodybuilding. And in 92, he brought a completely new dimension on the stage, on the professional level. He was the first freak or huge monster bodybuilder. I mean, even Lee Haney was scared when he won that Olympia, but it was very close. And after that Olympia, when I think it was 92, when he won, he retired after that, knowing that next one is going to be very tough, competing against Dorian Yates. Now, Dorian had every muscle group extremely well developed, apart from chest. And he was also very well defined. He was extremely hard, dry. But the problem that I have with him is his waistline. His waistline was always too big. So this is why his double biceps is very good. But again, nothing comes close to Arnold's double biceps. And if you just look at the photos, that impressive statue of Arnold doing double biceps is simply still a dream for everyone. And there is another bodybuilder that many people justly think was the best bodybuilder of all times, and that is Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman was an exceptional Mr. Olympia. He won 8 times, as we know. Every muscle group developed to perfection. But again, the problem with Ronnie Coleman was his midsection. Midsection, again, didn't allow him to have that phenomenal V shape as Arnold had. And also, he had that bubble gut, extended gut, which wasn't really, I mean, aesthetically is detrimental for me. You may be okay with that, but I can't just go over that. That was also Dorian's problem, the very thick midsection. And that problem is, I believe, mainly caused by abuse of insulin and growth hormone, which are two extremely potent agents. The two hormones that do not just increase muscle size, but also they increase the size of all other tissues, including your guts and internal organs. And although very well defined, with perfect definition, modern bodybuilders have that bubble gut, exclusively all of them, of very thick midsection, because organs are also growing from these extremely powerful substances, as I mentioned, like insulin, IGF-1, and growth hormone. In Arnold's days, that was unknown. They didn't have those substances, and people looked much better. Most of the bodybuilders had very small waist. This was the idea of bodybuilding on the end of the day, having small waist and big shoulders, having that V shape. So what happened later on, especially with champions like Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates, was that they just lost that aesthetic appearance, that V shape as Arnold brought in 70s due to the application of very powerful exogenic substances. Finally, my view is that aesthetically, coupled with the overall proportion, Arnold looked much better than any other Mr. Olympia. As I mentioned, if we agree that the double biceps is bodybuilding's trademark pose, then we just need to remind ourselves in Arnold's shape and size and proportions in 1973, 74, 75. And we will come to that idea of aesthetically perfect specimen on the stage. His double biceps still resonates. Whenever you think about double biceps, you will always come to that picture of Arnold in 1973, 74, 75, doing double biceps on the stage. And that's simply unseen. Nobody has surpassed that double biceps that he displayed. Also, what has to be acknowledged is that despite the lack of number of available steroids, in 70s, because Arnold and other bodybuilders mainly used testosterone. They used Deca, Primabol, and Dianabol. They didn't have anything else. These were 4 compounds that they've mainly used. Now, if you compare that with countless number of steroids today, plus another dozen of extremely powerful hormones and substances that people are using today, it's simply unbelievable that nobody have managed to surpass that quality that Arnold has brought to the stage. People, yes, they got bigger, but aesthetically, they didn't get better. So getting bigger doesn't mean that you're getting better. And also conditioning, especially in the recent decade, is not very good as it used to be in 80s, in 90s. With all these advanced substances they are using today, people simply cannot get that aesthetics and that conditioning, that they can't do the statement on the stage. I again know that aesthetics is a subjective experience, but I think I have managed to explain why Arnold is the best bodybuilder of all times, because of all these factors that I mentioned. And you may have different views, that's fine, but for me, it is obvious that double biceps will remain the paradigm for ideal bodybuilding stature. Now, I would like to mention that if you are interested more in detail about most effective training systems, training techniques, if you're interested in personal training or personal training online, nutritional and training programs, as well as training and nutritional ebooks, please visit my website, nashfittraining.com, and then get in touch. And I hope that you have liked this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, and also leave your comments, because they're very important for everybody else who is watching this and people who like to join the discussion via comments. So I'll be very grateful for you to do that. And until the next video, I hope you will all take care of yourself, and I wish you all the best.